No.
Yeah.
Right here.
Mhm.
Third one.
Hello, everyone. It's 6:30. I call this meeting to order. You're going to have to sit around and wait for a little while. We have two non-public sessions we have to do. Normally, we'd have to start one, go into it, come back, start the next one, and go back. I guess we're gonna have to do that. That's the legal way to do it. All right, so you're ready to get going on this?
Yep. Ready to go back?
Quiet down in the audience here. We are in session. I need a gavel.
Yeah, I still have to do this.
Quiet in the riprap area there. I make a motion to enter non-public session under RSA 91A3 discussion. That's not it. Hold on, I got the wrong one. 91A2 3. It's basically a reputation of any person other than a member of the board, unless some person requests an open meeting. This exemption shall extend to include any application or abatement or. This is not the right one. Is it that one?
The third one.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah.
Okay, it's 91A33 C. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we are, a roll call vote. Ken,
Aye, yes.
Bill, yes, George,
Yes.
and it is 4:23.
I don't see the other applicant for
Okay, so we'll do
the,
the first one.
I'll wait out here and if she comes, I'll let her know.
Okay,
She'll be next.
okay.
91A33 C. Yeah. Reputation. Okay, we will now depart. We'll be back in a little while. I'm going to pause the recording for people online. The audio and video will stay up. All right, I move that we resume our public session.
Second.
All in favor? Let's roll
Aye.
call vote. Hold on. Ken, yes.
Yes.
Bill, yes. George,
Yes.
yes. We are back in public session. I have to make a few notes here. You can sign it and pass it on. All righty. Any public comment this time?
Nancy? No, I'm just making sure
No.
Nancy's not here.
No, she's not.
Okay.
Not on.
Is that not?
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Nicole Concordia, Shooters Hill Lane. I just wanted to say that I am here because I'm interested in the discussion about the Powers Bridge. I don't know what is going to be discussed, but I'm on a little bit of a time constraint and I'm very concerned because the storm 2 times ago with the ice and the winds had us landlocked up on the north end of town. And now we have a 100-year-old great grandma and 76-year-old grandma living down there. And I was hoping you would bump that up to the top of the list so that I could be part of the discussion.
Okay, well, there's not going to be any discussion unless Marty shows up. He's the one
He's
that.
right
Already
here.
Oh,
here.
there you are, Marty. I didn't even see you over there.
But we've already have to put it into the plans. It was.
I don't know what the discussion is. I just saw it was on the agenda.
Yeah,
I
it is.
knew
Yeah.
that there'd be something and I have to be somewhere else at 7.
Yeah,
So
we'll do
I
that.
was just hoping we could
We'll do it.
bump it.
We'll move it
That's
up
all.
to the first thing we talk about here after. Any more
Thank
public
you.
comments? Okay, I don't think we have any comment. Oh, we have the Community Power Coalition update. Let's hold, can we hold that till after we do the Powers Bridge? Yeah. Okay. Bridge repair, Marty Connolly. Somebody give Marty the microphone and let him. You can sit down too. We're a full service.
If you want. You want to sit down?
Yeah. We're a full service board meeting here.
Thank you for allowing us to go first. My sons woke me up to get here. The Powers Road Bridge is very important to not just my family, but to a lot of people, as you saw at the last town meeting, where it was overwhelmingly voted to keep it and not close it. There has been some information found which will be presented tonight by Mr. Perry and my son, talking about dollars and cents, a timetable, as well as clarifying some misinformation that's going around about the East Road Bridge and its timetable. Sort of having a little comparison between the two. There is no comparison. The East Road Bridge, if you look at the numbers that are published, is very, very expensive. But I'm going to turn the phone over to either my son or Mr. Perry to explain these things with information, facts, so that everybody can hear it and see it. Which one of you would like to speak?
I have to apologize because the last town meeting, I was sick. And I didn't do a good job of getting the information across about the bridge.
Okay.
To be clear, the East Road Bridge is in a 5-year plan for $379,000 in 2027.
Okay.
I think there might have been a little confusion that Powers Road Bridge was somehow in the same setup. It is not. The Powers Road Bridge cost is $196,152. The important thing to remember on the Powers Road Bridge is it extends into 2 years. So the first year you choose to do it, you pay half, which is $98,076. So they make the deck, which is made of wood and steel, in the wintertime. And in the next season, you pay the other 98 and they install it. So it can extend out pretty good as far as time.
What kind of weight limit is that?
This would be an E2 bridge with no limitations. Currently, we have limitations.
Okay.
I got the plans for you guys so you can see them. It's the Hanson Bridge Company. Other towns are going this route because if you go with the state, it costs 3 times as much upfront. And in the end, the same bridge was 1.3 million. This is what I got from the state. And we would be, after everything was doled back out to everyone, we still would have to pay 2.25. This one's the 198. I just wanted to make sure we got that clear. So if we chose to do this bridge sooner, we have an amount of money in the bridge fund now. I believe it's 59. And wondered if it would be possible to start. If there was some way we could start the process to have the bridge made this winter and then budget the other half for next year.
Well, if we have 98K, we could, but that's what
I
we're
believe
funding.
is it 59?
Capital reserve fund has $2,000 in it. Didn't we just put 50,000 into it?
The state gave us, the state of New
Right.
Hampshire gave us
a
bridge funds.
Yes,
I don't remember the exact amount that they,
it's whatever's in the warrant article.
closed on. Here we have no capital, bridge capital, we put in,
74?
well, we put in 50,000
Yeah.
by taxation, and they had given us 74,000 already.
So the state gave us 74,000 already.
All
Right, so we've got 100.
What's your total? What's your total? 200 something.
196 in a two-part series. The first season would be 98,076.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Can I say a word here?
Let me just finish and then you'll be next. Thank you. And I just wanted to make sure that it was clear, because there's been a lot of folks that really do want it. It's too bad that I wasn't in better condition during the town meeting, because we would have asked for it then. I understand that it's hard to come up with this kind of funding, but can we? That's kind of what the question is coming up for it.
Okay. All right, Gail, you're up.
You're right about one thing, that there is no comparison between the Powers Road Bridge and East Road. The CIP committee discussed this at length at our last meeting. We have not met since town meeting. And to tell the truth, I think everyone at town meeting was very impressed by the lovely picture that Marty painted of the flowers that flow down the bridge, under the bridge. That made this bridge really important. Now, I think that you do have to set some priorities here. I'm not sure what the final total is in the Bridge Capital Reserve Fund. The question is, do you want to use it all up for Powers Road Bridge, which you would have to say is not a very high priority bridge under any circumstances. There are other ways to get into where Marty and his family want to go, where there are probably maybe 6 or 10 people that use that bridge. In contrast, East Road is a very important bridge. There are a number of people who live on East Road, and if you consider what would happen if the bridge were out and you had to have emergency services like a fire engine or an ambulance, the bridge was out, the only way that those vehicles can get in is to go all the way down 45, almost to Greenville, come in on that old Wilton Road, which is a very bad road. If you've driven that road lately, you know that it is nothing but potholes. Okay, so then you have to back up all the way down to where, say, Pat Lee used to live. And Pat Lee had the ambulance come several times. She's dead now, but there are other people along that road that are very possibly in need of services or fire. So in terms of priorities, I don't believe you can say that there is any comparison between East Road Bridge and the Powers Road Bridge. It is just not a very important bridge for the town to spend all of its capital reserve fund on the Powers Road Bridge. We have to keep the money for the East Road Bridge. We'll be lucky if we get 5 years out of it, to tell the truth. The last thing that I heard is that they can't actually tell what's wrong with the East Road Bridge, because when the state came and looked at it, and Kent can back this up, they couldn't find the bottom of it. Is there a culvert down there? What is there? I'm told that the bridge actually bounces up and down. I go over it several times of the day very carefully, or actually I go as fast as I can in case it falls apart before I get over it. So I think that well, the first thing I would say is that I believe that even though the select board has an interest in this matter, you might want to have the CIP look at Kent's figures, look at these bridges and consider the need for this bridge, whether it should be put up ahead of the schedule that we have for the East Road Bridge. I think that's the question. I mean, you have a CIP committee that looks at all of these things in great detail. We go out and we actually went out and looked at the Powers Road Bridge, looked at the foundation under it and said, oh my God, this is really pretty dangerous. You know, there's a lot of, it's a very old foundation, very old bridge, very beautiful, I would have to say. I think that it would be in the interest of the town to replace it at some time in the future. But I think we have to keep our priorities straight, that for the needs of the town, what the people who live on East Road, and in fact, all of Temple use that road to some extent, that the needs of that group of people are far greater than the water lilies that float down the river and the few people that actually use the bridge. And I know that the Connolly family may feel badly about it, but we've just got to be patient about this thing. That's all I would say. Thank you.
Okay, I've got a couple of questions. Ken, I want to put you on the spot. So give it to Kent. Do you have a recommendation one way or the other? Which one do you think is, I mean, if we already have the East Road Bridge scheduled for 2027, then what we would have to do is appropriate, if we pay for Powers Bridge this year and next year, we'd have to appropriate another $200,000 next year. Yeah.
Yes,
Which we could do.
yes. The East Road Bridge,
Right.
yeah, the East Road Bridge is not a bridge, it's a culvert. That's why there's such an issue with it. The state wants us to make it a bridge.
Ah,
And they
okay.
came out and divers came out and gave me a 5-year, yeah, they went out, they went like you said, we stood there and watched them. I can do the same system with Hanson Bridge. The quote is $360,000 for the East Road, not 3 million plus. This design eliminates DES and the engineering that's required to do detailed bridges like they like to do. We can get around that by doing the footings. If you see the design, the footings go beyond the area that's required for DES, and you span right over the top all of the problems. You never touch the water. That's what costs all the money.
Okay.
So if we get into doing things this way, which quite a few other towns have had, you won't have to come up with $3 million for the East Road Bridge.
Okay.
That's another way to think about it. Now,
Okay.
as far as traffic and need, Gail is correct in some ways, but I've seen that area blocked off. Now we have a business up the street. They're coming up from Wilton. There's twice as much traffic going over that area than there is at East. So it's kind of a quandary that's been left alone for a very long time. The guy that put that culvert in, I won't say who it is, said he threw the culvert in the water and held it down with the excavator and dumped dirt on. And that's how things were done around here. We've got really bad setups all over town, and now we're going to have to start addressing it.
Okay.
This is a way to do it. I would just suggest we try and start it. And this is a good way to get a good look at what we can have done. But it does impact more people than you think. And it impacts me because the plow route is now extended. Because I used to cut through there and plow over it. And now we go all the way around.
Mhm.
So, but that's the plow route. So it's not it's the residents that you want to take care of.
Okay, I can see arguments both ways. What I want to be sure of is if we can fund both of them when we need to fund them. So I would say we should have the CIP look at, if we want to pay half of Powers Bridge this year and the other half next year, how would we then fund it and East Bridge?
Well, the other thing to keep in mind too is the state funding
Mhm.
for East Road does not exist. When you're in the list, you wait 12 years. We don't have 12 years.
Yeah.
No, I think that we agreed with Kent when he came to our meeting back in December, maybe it was, that this new Hanson Bridge was a good way to go. I was part of when we put the bridge on Colburn Road. Oh, that was quite an ordeal. with all the engineers and the $500,000 and oh my gosh. No, I think Kent is on to a good thing with these new bridges, but we need to look at them. We need to consider the need. You can't do both of them really quickly. They're gonna have to be phased in. And if you have to do, I would move up East Road in a heartbeat, because it's a much more critical bridge.
Yeah.
Move it up. And then let the town decide what they want to spend on Powers Road, which is very little usage for that.
Except at town meeting, it was voted that we repair it, so we have to do it.
Well, the town meeting didn't vote on anything on East Road. I think they.
No, they built
No,
on
they-
Powers
I mean,
Bridge.
They didn't say you have to repair it right now. They said you have to repair it rather than close it. Right now, it's closed. Does it matter to anybody in the world that it is closed? It does, to the Connolly family and maybe another 2 or 3 people. That's it, I mean, this is not a fair discussion to rely on what happened at town meeting. It wasn't a fair discussion about East Road versus Powers Road Bridge.
Well, that's actually irrelevant, Gail. It was voted that we repair the bridge. Now, that doesn't say when we have to repair it, but we do have to repair it at some point.
Well, you can repair it 10 years from now. There's a serious water problem up just before East Road. I couldn't tell if Ken touched on that, but there's a lot of water right there. We have a serious backup of water on that brook, which is not flowing right down. I don't know what's going to happen with that. The other problem is I don't know if Kent's proposal for his bridge involves a buildup of that road, which is one of the things that we were talking about earlier, that if you replace the Powers Bridge Road, then it may be feasible or necessary that you increase the height of the road coming up to it from 101. It was because that floods out. That floods out every year whenever there's any kind of a storm there. So it may not just be putting a new bridge over there. You may have to do quite a lot of road work to increase. I think I heard the estimate of putting it up like 4 or 5 feet. So that's important. We need to look at all of the details of what this proposal is. I think that if you all want to be involved in this decision, then you should start coming to a CIP committee meeting. We should really go on tour, look at these bridges, look at Kent's figures, look at the site itself and see what is the most sensible thing to do. But I think in the end, it's a question of priorities. If you're going to do something, if you got money burning your pocket, for God's sakes, put it on East Road and not on Powers Road Bridge. It has a higher priority for the people of this town. That's what I feel.
Any other comments?
Like to just comment on usage.
Chris, you gotta use the microphone. They can't hear you over there.
On the recording.
Like to talk about the usage of Powers Road. There's a lot more traffic than 3 cars a day used to travel that road. Because it was a shortcut, but also it was used a number of times when Webster Highway was closed somewhere between, Revolutionary Road and up. Webster Highway is actually one of the main shortcuts through town. There's a huge amount of traffic that travel it in the morning and the afternoon going, down to Wilton back, they cut the back way across the cutout going down 101. And so we've had just this year, or last year, we had a number of accidents where the road was closed. They had to detour through our farm, which is illegal. But we allowed them to do it so they could get through. We now have the monastery down on Converse Road. They have massive gatherings at certain times of the year. We have Ben down on the corner. He has a lot of traffic at certain times of year. It's only time before there's a bad accident there, looking at how cars are pulling in and out. Not that but there's going to be a situation where the road's going to get closed again. And there's a potential situation where something else could happen at the same time. And the only way to get to the monastery or to where our services are coming from Peterborough is to go all the way down past Gary's restaurant or whatever it's called now and come all the way back up by Fry's Measure Mill and back up the hill, which is, even if they're coming from Wilton, or if we can get them to come in from a different direction, but if Peterborough is going around, it's another 15 minutes for an ambulance. So my statement is there's a lot more traffic that uses it on a regular basis when it was available. There probably would have been more but it was only a 3-ton bridge. So other trucks and stuff wouldn't come up through it. You know, there was times we couldn't get the milk truck in because the road was closed for one reason or another, and they couldn't go that way because the bridge was a 3-ton bridge. Now, when we go, most of our property that we farm is down in Wilton or on that end of Temple, down at the Whitcomb Farm, down at the County Farm. We now have to go out to 101, and that's the worst stretch, is that stretch from 45 down to the first corner, because they come in on that first corner doing 60 miles an hour. And when you're on the blind side of that corner on a tractor doing, 15 miles an hour, they come in screaming. It's actually safer. I feel safer pulling out on the S curve because they've already slowed down somewhat. I mean, you have a few yahoos that come in through the corner screeching around, but the majority of the traffic has slowed down. So it's actually safer for us to pull out onto the highway to get down that way, as I guess you want to call it personal thing, for our business, but it does get used a lot when it was functioning. A lot more than, I bet you there's quite a bit more or equal traffic to the East Road Bridge. But we can't tell now because it's closed, but anyways, that's what, and from what I looked at, it looked like the design was less intrusive than having to dig out, what was there, because we saw what happened up on the first Converse Road Bridge was a nightmare. If it's a state funded project, they have to go and excavate every bit of dirt out of there and replace it with new dirt, new fill that's engineered. We ended up being the benefit of that because we were building our new beef cow barn, and we got like 600 yards of fill for free because they had to replace, even though it was good dirt, it had been stuck in back during the 30s or 40s or whenever they had done the bridge. And it wasn't because it was a state project. It had, all the dirt had to be even engineered, so you couldn't just go get gravel up at the Converse Road pit and build it. So the system that Kent has showed me looks like it would be a heck of a lot less intrusive. It's going to take a lot, they're not going to have to wipe out half the woods on both sides of the road. Like they did at Converse Road, they basically clear cut this massive area to build the bridge. They had to put another bridge on the side. It was, a huge project. So anyways, thank you.
That is a good point, that without the Powers Road Bridge, you got 45 and you've got Fry's Measure Mill, and there's no other way to get.
They've also closed the Converse Road.
Yeah.
Or not the Converse, County Farm.
Right. Right, that's been closed for a while, yeah.
I think we will all agree that both sides are passionate about putting a bridge in.
Mhm.
I don't think there's an argument there. We've come here to ask you guys, because we don't know, if there is a way to come up with
Exactly,
the funding.
right. And I think,
You could look deeper for us and find out.
right, and that's where the CIP should be involved. The CIP doesn't decide whether we do this or not. The CIP needs to figure out if we can pay for it and how to do so.
The thing to look at too is the tax hike we're gonna do. If we do this all in one fell swoop, plus warrant articles every year, we're gonna have a huge tax spike.
That's the answer we want. If that
So-
is the case,
So then we have to go to CIP and we have to go to a plan, and we have to make that plan work. We have to fund that plan over X amount of years to make it work.
yeah, And-
Without the big giant tax hike, which is gonna be hard for everything. But we can do it that way, absolutely. And I think that's the way we should do it. Because then it's fair to everybody and we don't have to, have a $2, $3 per thousand tax hike all at once.
Yes. So let's not get bogged down in, we need this bridge here or there. Let's
Right.
find out how much
Right.
it's gonna do, work with the CIP and begin.
That's right. So I view it, like you said, we need to figure out how to fund this. And it might take 5 years. I mean, there's a reason we budget this stuff out. Why the East Road Bridge isn't scheduled for another 3 years, right?
Yeah.
We accumulate the money as we go, so we don't have a huge tax bill.
Also,
every
if
year.
we show action, I can talk to the state and if you, because the state wants a bridge on East Road, it's a culvert. They give money only to blacklisted, red listed bridges. If we show action that we are in the same, they may come around and make us a red and get
Okay.
us on the list.
Okay,
So we just need to start to show that we're working on it and not get bogged down.
yeah, okay, I agree with that. So I think what we will do is, if you guys agree, we'll ask the CIP, figure out if we can budget this. If so, how? And then, of course, the final last resort is we whack everybody with a $200,000 warrant article next year, which
Well,
people are gonna,
Well, not only that, but we still have to phase in the East Road Bridge, so not only do we have that, we still have to fund the East Road Bridge, so it's gonna be more than $200,000 a whack.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
well, it'd be 200,000 just for the bridge, just for the Powers Bridge, right? Yes, go ahead.
I'll make it really brief. Peter Allen, Coburn Road. It just makes sense to me, just common sense. If you got a bridge that's closed as opposed to one that's working, you fix the one that's closed. I mean, there's obviously people that need it and that would be important. It's the 198,000, I think Kent said $196,000. We're actually flush with money right now. The town is in better shape right now than it's been the last 4 years financially. As treasurer, I keep track of all these things. The 78,000 came in from the state from extra income. And it would behoove us to talk to the state and say, hey, are you going to do this again this coming year? I mean, that was a big fat $78,000. And they came in from some, because there was an extraordinary, I think, tax receipts that they gave us that money. And on top of that, we've had, as you know, we've had extraordinary interest income. This year, we're going to have probably about $90,000 of interest income. Last year, we had 70,000 plus. Plus there's other interest income from other accounts that can be pulled back into the general fund. So we probably have $100,000 in interest income this year. It seems to me to make sense to just use that money. And yes, we do have a higher ambulance cost, but outside of that, there's nothing I see during this year. Conval's expenses are flat this year compared to last year. It might be a very good time to jump on this while we do have some funding, even though I know the tax rate's going to increase this coming year because the budget was increased 10%, the operating budget was. But I think just common sense says $196,000, do exactly what Kent is thinking about. Half of it right now, which we have from the state pretty much, that $78,000, 74 is you know, what, 3/4 of funding for it. So anyway, that's just from a financial perspective, I think it makes sense to act on it sooner than later. Thank you.
Yeah, but we can't just decide, oh, we're gonna pull $198,000 out of the general fund because we want to build a bridge. That has to that has to be voted on. Has to be a warrant article. We cannot just take that money.
You know, another thing to consider too with that as well as we as a board try and buy down the tax rate every year. You take that money away, we're not gonna buy down anything. Our tax rate's gonna spike and we have no control. So I definitely think that we need to plan. We need to have a plan. We need to make the plan work.
Right. So I would ask the CIP to plan this, try to figure out if we can do it in a reasonable way. Now, there's another bit of good news. I don't know if anybody heard this. One of our state, probably our state senator, I forget which one it was. Apparently, the state has been convinced to give a much bigger share of the rooms and meals tax back to the town. So we're in line to get about $156,000 next year, almost double what we have been getting from the state. So that's going to be some more money we'll have. But anyway, yes, I would ask the CIP to meet and get going on this.
And all those meetings at the CIP and the BAC are all open to the public. So by all means, come and help us out.
Yep. Okay, so we will move forward on that. Anything else on that one? Okay, you're up for. No, actually, yeah, so we're backing up to old business.
There you go. Thank you.
Just for a note, we do have Nancy Ellis is here.
Okay,
Whenever
so
we
let
can
Rob,
Squeeze her in.
Yeah, I've got another meeting if I
let
could.
you
this'll
finish
be
up and
2
we'll do,
minutes, yeah.
we'll do Nancy.
So Robert Wills with the Renewable Energy Task Force and Aggregation Committee. We received lawyer comments about a month ago, and Joe Driscoll's comment number 5 said to submit the documents to Primex for review as a next step. So I formalized that. I sent all these documents to Carol by email. And so if the board would agree, we could send this to Primex with the note that our committee and CPC&H staff are available to guide Primex. So I think it'd be valuable to open a dialogue rather than just hand it off. And there are 37 towns in New Hampshire who've already signed on to this, so chances are it's already been reviewed. When we get a response, the aggregation committee and CPC&H will address the select board and Joe Driscoll's concerns in writing, and then we'll have Andrew and Henry from CPC&H attend an SB meeting to discuss and hopefully vote to proceed. There we go. That's it. Any question or?
So I'll make a motion that we have Primex review the documents as Joe Driscoll, our town attorney, has recommended. And invite Primex to discuss with the committee and CPNH staff.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you,
Okay.
chaps.
You can work with Carol to get things rolling on that. Okay.
Quick question, Rob, while you're here, is there, hey, Rob, is there any time frame where you're thinking where this will actually be implemented?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just curious what it is. I know this.
To have this happening in June, we would have had to have the 29th of last month, have it voted in by select board. There were too many questions and Bill was out sick. So we tabled it, and it'll probably be a wave of towns joining in the fall. That's all there is to it. Yeah. So probably August, September. Thanks.
Okay, at this point, we're going to enter into non-public again. I move that we enter non-public session.
Second.
Ken, in a sec. All right, seconded by Ken. Ken, yes. Bill,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
George, yes. We are entering into non-public under, again, RSA 91A3 3C. And we'll be back. I'm going to pause the recording again.
Nancy, you're gonna come with us? We're gonna go over to the annex room.
Okay. It is 7:20. I move that we reconvene public session. Is there a second?
Second.
Ken?
Yes.
Bill? Yes. George?
Yes.
Yes. We reconvened at 7:21 PM. Okay, we have the finally the Monadnock Conservancy draft update. So we got it back. It seems to be fine. Anybody have any comments on it?
No, I didn't see any issues.
No, okay.
They gave us everything that we asked for, so.
All righty, how would, you can speak to it if you'd like.
There's not really a lot to say. If you guys are in agreement with it. Signatures would be the next step. Notarize, and then you can give it back to me, or we can send it back to the Conservancy. They'll sign and notarize on their end. And then the next step would be, once they finish their baseline analysis or review of the plot, all the documents will get filed and we'll be good to go.
Okay,
So
Did you have your forum?
we didn't have great attendance, but we went ahead and did it anyways, and for the recording purposes, and we presented on both plots, the Wells plot up there with Piscataqua and this plot, and we're good to go.
okay, do we have the signable document yet? Carol?
So this.
That-
Copies,
Yep.
fine, and one.
Unless you want to change, there was a question on your names and how you want your names on that document. That-
You mean the order?
Excuse me?
You mean the order? of-
No, the actual, you go by William or Bill, how do you want it?
I don't care.
You
It's
know,
no different.
So
to me.
then if you guys wanted to sign it, you can sign it and notarize it and we go forward.
Okay, I will make a motion that we sign the, what do we call this document?
It's the
Conservancy.
conservation easement for the
For the,
schoolhouse meadow.
school land. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You want to do it tonight or wants to come into the office and do it? Carol, do you have your,
Oh, it's right here if you want to sign it.
okay. All right, we'll now
If
sign the,
What you emailed me last was a good copy, was the
Yep.
final copy.
Yep. So unless we wanted to change it, so.
okay, we'll sign it and we can, if she can.
423.
Do you want me to come to the office and pick it up, or?
I'm not in on Wednesdays,
Okay,
but I can reach out to you on Thursday, or I can maybe scan it. Is that okay to scan and email it to you, or do you want the original?
They probably want the original.
Okay.
So, I can pick it up next week. Maybe I'll send you an email or something and swing by.
okay, it's signed. So.
Yep. Cool. Okay, thank you very much.
Take care.
Sure.
Need mine.
Okay, next is rec commission update. You're gonna do it? Okay.
We have an event on May 4th. I'm Dan Cournoyer from Main Street. We have an event on May 4th on the Common, and it came up that we have access to the town hall. But since it's on the Common, whether or not we needed a porta potty.
Yes, I already talked to Vivian
Okay.
about this, and if you are inviting the public, you have to have a porta potty.
Yeah.
You can double check with Pete Caswell.
Right,
But my understanding is that if it's a public event, we have to have a porta potty out there.
okay.
And
It is
we actually
rain.
have to have two. You have to have a regular one and a handicap,
Right.
but,
Vivian already called me and said one handicap.
right, if
Yeah,
we,
yeah, we'll just get
if
the
we
one
don't
next
have
time.
the number of people that we have for Harvest Fest,
Right,
then you can just do the handicap toilet.
right. It is a rain or shine event, so if rain, it will be in the hall.
Okay,
And so I guess we'd be out that money anyway for renting the porta potty. Rain, okay, so.
yep,
The other event is requesting money for, out of the revolving fund for the car show coming up in June. And there was another event we'd probably need a little money for 4th of July.
Hmm.
And so we were just gonna make those requests for money ahead of time.
I
Okay.
was under the understanding we were done with the car shows. Nobody has said anything
Yeah, to
about
us.
that up again, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in
Yeah.
fact, we said at the last one, it was recommended we not hold them anymore by the
Oh, okay.
police.
Well, the police just said they thought that was a reason why people were doing the burnouts and
Yeah.
stuff, but I don't know that we ever officially.
Yeah, did we, but I don't know if we voted for it or not.
Cause I know she filled out a form to have.
All right, do you want to let them have the car show or not?
I mean,
We had 3
Uh,
dates. We were gonna do June, July, August, just one Monday in June, one Monday in July, one Monday in August.
Well, the police did say that they're the problem with the people that come up doing burnouts on their way in and out. in the
Okay.
I
car.
know that happened the very first one. but
Okay.
I don't think it happened after that.
Yeah.
Maybe in other parts of
Some
town.
idiot did it right there, right? in front of
Yeah.
CJ.
Right in front of
CJ
CJ.
chased him right
There's
down
been a
West
lot
Road.
since then too. I've heard and seen.
I mean, there's
a lot.
burnouts, just random
Yeah.
burnouts in town, so. With the car, so,
I mean, there's
most of
one
these
right
guys
down
care
on
for their
Street that's
cars.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm not gonna do burnouts if I'm paying for the tires.
But yeah, so there has been interest in continuing it, even though, it's, smaller than the other car shows in the area, but,
Okay, we can talk about that and figure that out, but for the money, Vivian needs to write a request
Yep.
to the select board for the money.
Yep.
We vote on it and then it gets paid
Right.
by the trustees or transferred by the trustees.
okay, and then, one other thing is we are sort of designing a logo and we'll need a banner at some point for certain events. And, so that would be also in the request for money.
Okay,
It wouldn't be minimal, $100 maybe, so,
okay.
and that's that.
All right, you want to talk about the car show now or later?
Can we get the dates and talk about it next meeting?
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. we'll
Okay,
do
the
it our
date
next
should
meeting.
be,
This is only April, right?
yep. So
So-
June 10th would be the second Mondays.
Yeah, can you have them sent over to Carol?
Yeah,
so we
email it to
can-
Carol and
Okay.
we'll put it on our agenda for our next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Good question here, just on the rec fund. Is he asking money to come from the revolving fund or from the town budget?
no,
Because-
it's their fund, not from our
It's,
budget.
okay, because I'm the custodian, so it would just be the normal procedure.
Yeah, the
Okay,
normal
okay, I
rec
just want to make sure it
rec
was
fund.
revolving fund, yeah.
Okay, now we should be able to move along a little bit. Reappoint Lilliane LeBel to the Temple Land Use Committee for 3 years.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
She-
Abstain.
Okay, she's appointed. Reappoint Vivian Wills to the Community Advisory Committee, term 3 years. I'll move that. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Vivian's appointed. Okay, discuss holding a forum on the feasibility study.
We'll just do Allan Pickman too while we're doing the appointments.
Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
okay. I move that we accept Allan Pickman's appointment to the Zoning Board of Adjustment. What's his term?
3 years.
3 years, for 3 years. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Alan's appointed. Okay, discuss holding a forum on the feasibility study. We got some emails back from some people. How many do we get, Carol, from the feasibility?
Comments,
Yeah, people,
maybe about 12 or so comments. Only actually like 2 or 3 willing to volunteer or find out more of what it's about before they volunteer.
yeah, okay, so I think there's really not any chance we're gonna have a special town meeting.
That feasibility study committee is supposed to be made up of one selectman and one Conval board member.
Yeah, so
So that's not,
yeah, this is talking about,
that's not just Dublin
No.
and Francistown. This is for all 9 towns. And it's
yeah,
this group of people asked to do it. And after they've done the study, then they present a forum.
Yeah.
So it can be discussed.
this is actually, we've got 3 different things going on and people keep mixing up the names of all of these.
Yes,
So yes, the official one with the school, that's one. There is the group that we set up that town members can be in to work with Dublin and Francistown on planning.
somebody has a committee, a subgroup or something?
Yeah, we set it up at our last meeting. Forget what it's called. And then there was this question that was brought up. Should Temple file one of these motions for the feasibility study with the school district like Dublin and Francistown did? And it was suggested we have a special town meeting to do that.
No.
I don't think that's very,
When Dublin and Francistown said at the SAC meetings.
Yeah.
That they wanted the feasibility study. So then the chairwoman of the school, what's her name?
Yeah,
She said then because they asked for the feasibility study, that they had involved all the towns in this thing.
right, but we are not, that's a study for them. We're all involved, but the study is for them. So people said, why don't we tell Conval we want a study too, and join in with Francistown and
You don't
Dublin.
have to. It's forced it forced,
Well, it's the first step for them to withdraw, for Francistown and Dublin to withdraw. That doesn't mean we could withdraw if we wanted to. That's the whole purpose of this feasibility study, is to say, is it reasonable for a town to withdraw from the school district? And that's what Dublin is asking. They're saying, should we withdraw from the school district? Francistown has said that too. We're gonna talk about it.
you know, all the steps they have to go through.
Yeah, I know.
If
It's
they go
totally
to
crazy.
withdrawal,
Right.
it would be stupid or unwise.
Right, but in any case, it was, somebody suggested that we have a special town meeting and file one also, so we could participate in the withdrawal with those two towns. And I don't think that makes any
No.
sense. We've got 3 more elections this year, a town meeting, special town meeting, nobody's gonna come. So if we want it, it can go on the warrant for next year.
You voted yourself to be on that feasibility.
On the
study
current, the
committee.
Dublin and Francistown one, yeah.
And I also wanted to be on it, but there can only be one of us.
Well, you can always come.
No, I can't.
It's not it's a public
It's
meeting.
made of, well, if it's a public meeting, yes, but
Yeah, it is.
I've got enough other things to do.
Okay.
You wanna be
Just a
on
quick comment. I think I'm sorry, George. I want to make a quick comment if I could, Peter Allen. I was at the meeting last board meeting. I don't remember setting up a special committee. I know that you had agreed to join that
No,
committee
it might have
that's
been
on the
meeting
Conval.
before. Might have been the meeting
That
before.
Conval one. Oh, okay.
We,
But my understanding is it's really essentially important that we discuss this possibility of Temple instituting a feasibility and holding the town meeting, even if we don't do it. I mean, but I think a forum should, because it's a very complex, from my understanding from the last meeting you guys had, there's going to be a fairly massive budget request next year in the millions. And we will be obliged, if we don't institute the feasibility study, not meaning we're going to remove ourselves, but if we don't institute the feasibility study, we will be obliged to and be bound by the $5 million bond or whatever it is. I don't know the details. So the idea was, let's just go through these motions and institute the feasibility study to give us the option of actually being a part of this massive increase. And so it's really just opening up the options, but I would recommend you guys have a forum here because Mr. Kingston's, on the school board, and he has all this data about this stuff. I think it'd be important if he could make a presentation to the town about the issues.
it's very unclear whether filing gets you out of it.
Oh, I know it doesn't get you out because that would still have to.
No,
be
no,
voted
get you
on.
out of the funding.
Oh, yeah, but that should be discussed. 'cause
That's,
That's
I
what he
mean,
was
it's
articulating.
very unclear.
Yeah, exactly. He was articulating that, but I didn't get the details either, and I haven't seen the document that he had with him. I think that'd be important to.
I have the document. It's 25 or 29 pages
Oh,
long.
oh.
It is vague. It is confusing.
Right.
We talked to the town attorney. The town attorney said, if you're going to do this, you have got to get a specialist attorney that specializes in school law,
You
period.
mean in terms of eventually removing?
or even understanding
Yeah, okay.
how to even get involved in this. But in any case, I don't think we're going to have a special town meeting, but you did bring up a valid point. If Dublin and Francistown leave the district, that money has got to get made up somewhere, and Temple is a donor town, and we will get hammered. In which case there'll be a rebellion and we will,
My only point is, I think it'd be important to have the forum at just a minimum.
yeah, we
And
can,
then we've done our due diligence. If nobody shows up, then we know
right.
there isn't the interest.
So I'll talk with Jim And we'll see
Thank you.
if we can figure out how to do any of this.
So is this committee gonna meet tomorrow night? Or
It's Thursday night,
Thursday night?
6 o'clock at
Yeah,
Convo.
so I think we got a long way to go before, let's find out what.
Yeah, let's see what they have to say, see
all
what this
about.
whole procedure's about. But we did have that committee that we set up, a study committee, which isn't just like Dublin and Francistown did, where it's just to figure out what the options are. Are there any other options? Is the best choice actually closing the school, or should they close the middle school? This sort of stuff. We did set that up. We have not appointed anyone to it yet. But Carol, we had people that were interested in being on that one.
We need a couple more committees. We need committees to study the study committee.
I know,
Stupid,
committees.
absolutely stupid.
Okay, so,
So moving on, we have we're all set with that?
yep, building
We have a
permit.
building permit for Tamposi on Red Road for pool. It's been signed off by Will, but I do not see Pete's, and it is a body of water, so,
Well,
Pete,
There's already a pool there and he's just replacing a pool that's already there, so I didn't know that I needed to get those signatures.
you know,
Approve it.
Yeah, I think Pete still has to approve it.
thanks to Pete still has to, so I'll motion to approve it pending Pete's signature or not, if he decides he doesn't wanna. He doesn't need to.
Okay,
All right. I'll
So
second.
you're not gonna sign this?
yeah, you can sign
Yeah,
it,
we
and
can
I just
sign
won't issue the permit until I get.
Okay, we don't even have to vote on this, I don't think.
Next will be occupancy permit for Hiram Cutter Road.
Okay.
It's all been signed off by everyone.
Okay, so we can sign that one.
Motion to accept and sign.
Jeta Grove wants their religious exemption renewed.
Okay, well, we need to, I just made a motion to accept and sign
Oh, all right.
because we still have to do
Is there
this.
a second?
My God, I hope we do
Yes.
this, put it in paperwork somewhere,
I'll second it.
get rid of it.
All in favor? Aye, fine.
Aye, thank you.
Although I don't think we have to vote on these things. And soon we will certainly not have to.
The Jeta Grove thing is just business as usual. with
Yep.
The Jeta Grove, we don't charge them elect. They do give the town a gift every year, which they have done consistently since they've been here. And I don't see that we have any problem with this at all.
All right, I move that we renew it.
There's just one thing, Evan just wants some additional information, for our files.
Okay,
And they've already said that they can prove get this information. They just need a little more time, but
okay, well, we'll renew
I'm
it
just,
anyway.
yeah, approve it and then I'll just follow up with that paperwork.
Okay, so I move we renew their exemption. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Charitable exemption application, New Hampshire Forestry. This is the one we turn down every year, isn't it?
Yeah, New England Forestry Foundation. We do it every year and it's all for the same reason that they're landlocked. They don't have anybody that lives there or takes care of it.
And
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 from Massachusetts.
therefore, we do not
All right. I move
give them
that,
a tax
I move
charity.
that we decline their application. Is there a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Charitable exception renewal for Four Winds.
Motion to accept and sign.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Elderly exemption application for Hoesch, and it says we're denying it.
She's over the threshold for asset.
Okay,
And there's really nothing we can do about that.
yep. Okay,
so we move that be denied.
To be signed here.
okay. I'll second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
She's denied. Okay, we've got a couple of more.
Do other businesses.
Other
before
businesses,
we
yeah.
do, Minutes.
Be up building permit application, deck. For Cutter Road, somebody on Cutter Road.
Yeah, I saw that. It was all set. Motion to accept and sign.
Okay, no second, all in favor?
Aye.
Sinkhole,
Post office, the sinkhole is back at the post office. You want to have anything, you want to say anything about that? Or do you have any kind of numbers for us?
We have a more limited repair. The culvert will cost $1,000. It'll probably take us 3 hours.
okay.
Okay, can we, that now? And what do you mean by limited repair?
It goes through the parking lot, but instead of going all the way back, it just empties into the backyard.
I don't, we put that culvert in, I don't agree with that at all. It needs to go all the way back to where it's dumping out now,
Then it'll be $3,000.
and that's okay, I mean, we have to do it.
Okay.
I don't see how we're gonna get around it, and I don't see how we can just delete that at this point.
I agree. Should be done.
Yeah. So you have the monies and we
Okay.
have our blessing to go all the way to the stone wall and make
Yeah.
it,
Okay,
Okay,
don't do the limited, do the full.
the full Monty.
I'll make a
Monty,
motion
right
that,
from the manhole all the way
Right
to
to the-
the
yeah, you make a motion.
ejection port.
Yeah,
So I'll make the motion that we accept the $3,000 expense of changing that culvert out, because the culvert is now caving in. And that we opt to pay it out of something determined to be
to be
determined.
determined, yeah.
You don't think we should pass that by the CIP?
No,
Negative.
it's under, only things $10,000 or more.
It's not throwing a ball.
Yeah, I know.
Is there a second
Uh,
on that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Gee, we're cooking right along here. You haven't fallen asleep yet either.
Not getting any
Can we the
paperwork.
last one out of here?
Any paperwork back yet?
No.
I can get find that one and pass it on.
Okay.
All right, we have select board
I don't know
minutes
if
from the hearing on April 9th.
Motion to accept as written.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
And we have the minutes from the board meeting minutes from April 9th. Any discussion on that?
The only thing I had on page 3, under certificate of yield for Willard, it says that, Azell second. Motion passed. But Willard abstained,
Yeah,
Well, he never said that, so I just didn't put him in there, but.
yeah.
yeah.
No, I asked him afterwards and he said he
Okay.
would. That's the
Yeah.
only thing I had. So motion to accept as amended?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Any other business for the town?
I got none.
I got nothing.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye, we're adjourned. Good night, everybody who's online, which doesn't seem to be anyone.
Good night.